represent Ruff Ryders and all our peoples that represent Ruff Ryders.
Who would have ever bet on dudes from the street being able to make a huge impact in music history? Who would have bet on that? Nobody.
It was Swizz, DMX, The Lock, E.
Ruff Ryders was on fire. It was insane.
We've set trends, trailblazed, turned shit up.
X touched the nerve that the streets were starving for one of them.
What's real, it's not gonna be ignored.
What could turn out to be one of the most influential rap albums of the year came out today by DMX.
Who else can make 2 albums in a year? Triple plat. Can nobody do that?
Everybody was at that height, like, we are the shit.
It's party, it's weed, no sleep, it's women.
Just because we got a little bit of money now, we're still dealing with guys from the streets.
Several people were stabbed. Some are reported in critical condition.
Camera, put the camera on. Fame is a lot. I went through a depression, and it all just kind of fell on me.
I watched my best friend gain the world and lose his soul.
I'm so tired.
A lot of things fell back and started going left.
We built Ruff Ryders together. You know what I'm saying? I should have had some part of it.
Something went wrong with the bike.
He was not grieving.
It's been a rough 24 hours for the platinum-selling rapper.
Get my best side.
We never thought it would end. You know, we would just keep rolling out hits, new artists. But within any family, there's also dysfunction. We should have been an empire.
Before I became Ruff Ryders, I was in these streets. The streets was our education, our Harvard University. But this wasn't no overnight success. It came from having faith in self, having spirituality, understanding you're never gonna let anybody stop you from making it. We brought the family in the business, we brought all homies in the mix, and God gave me the opportunity to be able to make hit records. We built a movement, we built a way of life.
Ruff Ryders, you know!
But everything go up must come down. You're not gonna stay up on top forever. Our setback was really a setup for something greater. But to understand Ruff Ryders' story, you need to know my journey. It started in the Bronx. South Bronx was rough, real rough.
There was a shooting in the Bronx today, an execution, really.
Everywhere you go is the same thing. People getting high, drugs, disease, violence, crime. You name it, you could find it or buy it here.
South Bronx in the 70s was a war zone. You know, lawlessness, poverty, burnt out buildings, broken glass everywhere.
Many parts of the South Bronx look like a city under siege, with entire blocks wiped out.
The one bright factor about all of that was the sense of community and family. The family unit is all you had, you know, so for the Deans, family was everything.
I wasn't thinking about motherhood at 15, but fortunately it happened and I have my 6 children.
We always emphasized the ethics and principles was always the main thing that we wanted them to have.
D, Y, myself, we're the youngest, and Y and D were very, very close. If you saw Darrin, you saw Joaquin. It's almost like they were inseparable.
Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.
My father was a Muslim, so we had discipline. It's kind of like discipline, preparing you for things that's gonna come in life.
When you think about structure in a lawless environment, that's what the Nation of Islam did. It transformed a lot of men into disciples of discipline.
America doesn't give her promise to anyone. You have to wring it out of her.
We didn't go to public schools. We went to the mosque schools.
We had this headscarf and the outfits, and my brothers always wore suits and their hair cut really low.
You know, we knew all the things not to do, not to smoke, not to drink, not to use drugs. which stuck pretty good because I never smoked and I never drank in my life ever.
The black Muslims are worth millions. Businesses include supermarkets, fish markets, and a few hundred other businesses.
I started importing fish for the Nation of Islam. Then I opened up my own business.
You know, my father was an entrepreneur. He taught me a lesson at an early age. It was like 8 in the morning. I went to his office on 125th Street. I said, yo, Dad, I need some money. I want to get something to eat. He said, why are you asking me that? I said, because you're my father. He said, go in the freezer, get the shrimp, get the fish, and go try to sell it. I go out there and I sell this shrimp and fish, and before you know it, I got $300-400. He said, now that's yours.
So that work ethic was instilled in us. Always hard work, hard work, hard work. Hard work pays off. A lazy man works twice. If you want it, you better go get it.
Their style of music is rapping, that is, spoken words over a highly rhythmic musical background. All of them were raised in the South Bronx in what they call the jungle.
We all was in the Bronx, so we was born in hip-hop.
I grew up a block away from Cedric Avenue. So Cedric Avenue was monumental with us, with Kool Herc. That's where he lived at.
Kool Herc definitely is the pioneer of hip-hop and started the whole thing right up under our nose. My room and Dee's room was right directly over Kool Herc's room.
He had speakers almost as big as this room, blast me right out the bed.
When Kool Herc have a party, everybody be there.
Me and Dee was 6, 7 years old. We used to take the crates out from Kool Herc's house into his van to go and do these sets in the park right down the block.
When Kool Herc with DJ, we would go over there and break dance, so we was getting music all the time. When you're young, you don't even realize if you're rich or you're poor yet. Me and Waah, we was just having fun at a young age.
When my parents got divorced, it threw everybody in a loop because we were so used to having that unity and we were taught structure and discipline.
My mother, she didn't totally accept Islam 100% wholeheartedly. At that time, my father was fully Muslim. He didn't take no mess, so they clashed.
And then Albert, the storefront corner on fire with all his merchandise, and he had no insurance. So that also led to the breakup.
We had a lot of changes that went on in our life, and it became a little difficult.
My father did what he can to support, but at the same time, she had 6 kids, so we eat a lot.
I knew that I had to keep my strength for them. I couldn't show them weakness, but there are gonna be days when you're gonna eat, and there are gonna be days when you're not. And they knew those days very well.
We used to eat rice with sugar.
Butter and rice, mayonnaise sandwiches. You know, a lot of people know about that, you know?
Unfortunately, I lost my job. Therefore, I lost my apartment. And that's when it all started.
At some point, my mother wasn't able to take care of 6 children independently, so we had to separate.
The 3 oldest stayed with me. Chivon, Darrin, and Joaquin went to Philadelphia with my mother. They broke up when my mother died.
At that point, I stayed in New Jersey, and Darrin and Joaquin went to live with my father in Yonkers.
You go to Yonkers, and then you end up in Mount Vernon, then you end up in Manhattan. And when you go to each one of these areas, you meet new kids. And we just happen to meet a lot of kids, but a lot of bad kids.
We was Muslims, but as we got older, we wasn't in the Muslim household, so we wound up running into some bad kids, and you're gonna eventually take that course.
They'd be like, oh, yo, listen, I'm gonna show you how to get this money. And you say, all right, well, how are we gonna get this money?
Gun, rob, take, run. Simple. I was just turning about 16. We did a robbery, and I think it was like a Kentucky Fried Chicken. Went in, we robbed it, got the money, we left. I guess somebody was in there that spotted me, so they wound up coming to get me.
And then I get locked up about 13, 14 or whatever for a robbery. Then they sent me to Spofford. You have to grow up overnight because the kid then goes right out the door. Your mother's not there, your brothers is not there, nobody's there. Now you get to know who you really are.
I wrote a letter and told him all the things you should be looking out for because I was already in jail.
He would be like, yo, don't cry, don't let them take your sneakers.
This is a sign of weakness. I say, give me your sneakers and you give them to me, then you're gonna be giving me everything the whole time you're in there. You might as well just fight for them and get it over with.
I learned I wasn't gonna fall for anything. I wasn't gonna just be somebody else's puppet. I did my 3-4 years, and then I got out. It was 1986, I was 17. Me and Dee went to Mount Vernon, New York, and started all over again.
We're in Mount Vernon, money-making Mount Vernon. I went to high school here, got kicked out as usual. From there, jail. From jail, back to the streets.
From jail, you don't have no income or no money or nothing. You go back to the streets, you just put right back in the same environment, so you get the same results.
It's going nationwide, a drug so pure and so strong, it might just as well be called crack of doom.
Crack, the most addictive form of cocaine, is now sweeping New York.
Everybody was on it, so that was the product to sell. If you wanted to make money, it's a product that was in demand 24 hours a day.
You probably have a day shift, I'll have a night shift. Really, it's just like a grocery store. It's like a grocery store.
We get all the money, we count it up later, 3,000, 5,000 a day, and then go back out and do it again tomorrow.
I always worried about them. I wanted to rush through high school so I can get an apartment and get the minutes so they could come off the streets.
Neighbors on their stoops got caught in the crossfire of random shootings by 3 suspected drug dealers.
5 men are shot. The motive? Drugs.
In that life, you definitely can get into situations at any moment. Like anything can happen at any time. You gotta pay attention. There's shooting, there's killings, there's all type of things going. You take a risk coming out the door.
We had an incident, a couple of guys hustling on the wrong strip. We regulate them. A couple of days go by. I'm on 3rd Avenue. I'm chilling in the pool hall with friends. One guy said, yo, listen, what would you do if somebody's shooting at you? I said, I don't know. What would you do? He said, well, bullet can't hit you if you zigzag. I said, oh, yeah, zigzag? That sounds cool. That's really cute. So I leave, and when I get up the middle of the block, some guy jumps out off the steps with a mask on, with a gun. And so I give him 100 singles, say, here, this is what you want, it's a robbery. This guy say nothing, so he clicks and it jams. So I run. Boom, 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 he's clicking, he's trying to kill me. I start zigzagging, the gun goes off, I'm hit. Can't believe it, I just got shot. I run back into the pool hall, and I say, yo, I just got shot. And so the guy said, man, stop playing. They said they thought I was joking. So I laid on the floor, I said, yo, call a cab. And I went to the hospital.
They called me and said, do you have a son, Joaquin Dean? I said, yes. Well, he's down in emergency. He's okay, but he got shot.
I go to sleep and wake up, they say nothing they could do with the bullet. So I got a bullet launched in my heart.
The doctor said it would be more dangerous to operate than not. And they did the right thing. Don't touch it. If it don't bother you, don't bother it.
So it was a wake-up call. After that, I was still in the street hustling, but I started looking for new endeavors because we was playing tic-tac-toe with this situation. We was putting our life on the line. And that's when I seen that Heavy D and Puffy and CL Smooth come out of my neighborhood in Mount Vernon. And they was kids from around the way that actually got successful doing something legitimate.
Yo, money earning Mount Vernon. What's up out there, America? It's time for Yo, MTV Raps. My man is super large.
And the overweight lover, Bon Diddly Diddly D.
Yeah, my man's name is Heavy D. What's up, Heavy?
Man?
We seen them come from riding skateboards and bicycles to riding Benz and Bentleys and on TV. I'm out here throwing bricks at the penitentiary, what we doing wrong.
Heavy D was one of the coolest dudes in the world. About his business, very respectful. Couldn't get him to curse on the record.
Although I may drink a Coke, hell no, I don't smoke no Coke.
He knew how to make songs that will stand the test of time.
You know, we keep our ear to the street. You know, most of our crew was still, we still in the ghettos and all that.
Crazy thing is, Heavy D's brother was, hanging out with us and we was running the streets. One day in Mount Vernon, New York on 3rd and 3rd, Heavy D pulled up in a Benz. He had, a little entourage with him. And I asked him, yo, Hev, y'all in the music industry, y'all doing real big things with Uptown Records. How do we get in the game? We want to get out of these streets. Hev said, listen, if you find an artist that you believe in, bring them to me. I might do a deal with you because I'm looking for artists anyway. At that time, I was standing there with Tiny.
And so I said, I got that artist. I know her. He said, he has to be that artist. He has to be gold artist, a hit-making artist. I said, I got him. They all looked at me like I was crazy.
We had a cassette, Darkman X mixtape.
Polo was short, somewhat stocky, high top fade, built like Rocky.
My first reaction was, where's he at right now? I need to see him now. This can get us out of the streets.
And one day, Polo said Houston's good, but we're not making half as much money as we could.
So we went around, asking a few places. A couple of people told me where he was. I know where. All right, cool. So we went over there on Locust.
3, 4 in the morning. Over here. That's where they parked at.
This is the ghetto of the ghetto over here.
I'm a hood. You pull up, stop. I'm gonna take a step back.
DMX interview, take 3, Mark.
When Waah pulled up, friend or foe, I didn't know. He's like, yo, you know DMX? I don't know why. Because, I did a lot of dirt.
He was taken aback a little bit because he never seen Waah before. So I said, nah, that's my man. All right, he got comfortable then, and I made the introduction.
Tip like, yo, I got my man Waah. He want to get in this music business. He wants you to work with him.
Tell me, yo, I'm gonna be back 11 in the morning. And they can tell me that shit for the longest. Yeah, you listen to it, whatever.
I said, well, we different people over here, you know what I'm saying? So we keep our word.
I didn't dismiss him. I didn't put too much into it either. So I showed him the window that he could knock on where I stayed at. The next day at 11 o'clock, this nigga was like this. Right on the window. Ew! And this nigga voice loud as a muff. I'm like, who the?
He was like, oh, nobody kept their word like this. I said, that's what we do.
We out, we roll, we vibe. It was done.
At that time, D was hustling in the streets, and Chivon was with family in Atlanta. So it was just me and DMX. But DMX was really a hard artist to deal with. He had robberies, he had situations, people, come looking for him.
X was a legend for the 2 R's, rapping and robbery, and he was good at both.
That was my reputation, rapping and robbing. Double R was already there. Before we even came up with it, it was already there. And sometimes I rob people with my dog. He was about 40 pounds, little pit bull. I got him tattooed on my back. That was the time we both had warrants for us.
X didn't need no gun, he had the dog. Who wants to get bit? I'd rather get shot.
He would walk into projects and just have people up against the wall. Take that off, run in people's pockets, all types of craziness. Like, yo, that's wild. With a dog.
The gun is only as powerful as the person behind it. I've taken guns out of people's hands before. The dog is it's like a bullet that'll chase you. He's gonna get you.
He was always in a lot of trouble. He had a lot of ups and downs, got in a lot of fights, a lot of situations. But X is who you want him to be. If you want to be bad, you can get the bad X. You want to be cool, you can get the cool X. That's why we ask, are you DMX or you Earl Simmons today? Who are you?
Earl is the child. He's a good kid. Means well, and he wants to do good, and wants to please people.
I would describe Earl's childhood as very representative of what it meant to be black and male in a really disadvantaged, poor situation in New York City.
This is it right here, man. 80 School Street, man.
School Street projects was, it was horrible. I mean, I sold drugs there, but it was horrible. The elevator smelled like urine. The steps smelled like urine. A fight would break out, cops wouldn't come.
You had your tough guys downstairs selling drugs. You had your stick-up guys come through every now and then. Literally, School Street was the home of the brave. You had to be brave to live there.
Saw people getting robbed in the lobby. They robbed the mailman like every first of the month. Mike the mailman. I mean, he'd be right back to work.
Earl's childhood was really tough. His mom was a teenage mom, and she didn't know how best to discipline him.
DMX's mother took out a lot of frustration on him due to the fact that my brother had left the relationship.
I wasn't shy by any means, but I don't think I was confident either. Couldn't be too confident. And, in my situation, confidence would get you a beating. Expressing would get your ass whooped.
I started to notice DMX coming over to my house with marks on his face, stuff like that. And my mother noticed it too.
I think I did something wrong. I had to stay in my room for the whole summer. I could only come out to use the bathroom. I could see the kids playing in the back. What I did all my schoolwork. I did it all over again. Then I read every single book in my room. I had a zipper, the moving part of a zipper, and that was a fire engine to me. My imagination, I expanded it. There's always a gift in every bad situation. You just gotta be strong enough to be willing to look for it.
He asked me one day, did I have a mother? I said, yeah. He said, love your mother. My mother didn't love me. My grandmother, though, is my mother.
She loved me, and she saw a light in me. She saw a light in me. She saw the fact that I had the potential to be someone.
DMX's grandmother's my mother. Her name is Mary Holloway. DMX was hungry often, so when he came over to the house, it was party time because he didn't get a chance to eat as much while in the projects with his mother. I mean, that's pretty much why he acted out a lot. As a child, you don't get no attention from your mother, and then your father's not around. Of course, you're gonna act out in some way.
I was a smart kid. I don't know if I was a good student. I'd get into fights in class. I'd actually challenge the teacher sometimes. Sit down, make me. I was angry about being told what to do.
When Earl's mom couldn't take it anymore, she just started sending him away to these group homes for juveniles where, kind of half educational institutions and half penal institution. And one of the schools that Earl's mom sent him to was Children's Village.
So the procedure is you go there for an interview and then take you home. Then, you prepare to come back.
He was under the impression that he was just looking around. He wasn't gonna stay.
My mother comes back from across the room. It's like, all right, I'll see you in 3 months. And I'm like.
And she left.
In my mind, I'm like, you can't leave me. You know what I mean? We came here. I'm supposed to go home. And then she just left. Right then and there, I learned to just put away, conceal, bury, whatever bothered me, and store it. I think another side of me was born right there. The side that enabled me to protect myself. Don't worry about it. I got you now.
This is Crowley's cottage. This is where Earl lived for 2 years. Music was the lifesaver for Earl. He just was so passionate that would help him to express himself.
When I saw the big box, maybe 83. I was good at it. At that time, hip-hop was new. You just had to do something. Beatbox, breakdance, electric boogie, or you did graffiti, or you DJ'd, or you just had to do something, because that's what everybody was doing.
Earl would always want to go home after he left these juvenile institutions, but there really was no home for him to go back to. His mom had, more kids by the time he was getting older and becoming a young teenager, but she never was able to welcome him back.
He would stay wherever he could find a squat. He would, somebody's house, or somebody's couch, in a car. He would come over to my house, but it was a few nights where DMX would just pretty much hang out on the streets, beatboxing and battling people around Yonkers.
I partnered up with this guy named Reddy Ron, and he would rap, and I would just do the beatbox.
Reddy Ron was this, one of the illest MCs in Yonkers at the time.
He was the first male role model I ever had in my life. He was the first person I seen roll a blunt. He was rolled up ready, he lit it, and I remember hit it, and as soon as I blew the smoke, I was like, oh shit, like, what the?
It was, I think, like what they would call a wooly, which was lacing a cigarette with crack.
He said it was just weed, like, why would you do that? I was 14 years old, and I looked up to you. First person that was a male that I ever wanted to be like in my life. Why would you do that? But he was also the person that suggested that I should write rhymes.
We right here in the lab and shit. DMX about to bust, you know what I'm saying?
My rhymes are kicking, cooking like chicken, finger licking good. I'm a hood, you fear stricken. I'm the DM, destroy MC soon as I see him.
They can't just grab the mic.
I did a lot of, walking through Yonkers, looking for people to rob, and if I came across a rap battle, hey, just as good, just as good.
We would go all over Yonkers and battle. We would go all the projects, all the side blocks. Anybody that wanted to battle, he was there. DMX took that craft serious, like a chess player or a tennis player. He wanted to win at all costs.
King of the throne, skull and crossbones, divine master of the unknown with the microphone. I've grown, shown and proven. A rap ain't shit unless it gets the crowd moving. Or I go, he can handle it.
He was #1, hands down. And whoever said he wasn't, we set up the battles and they lost.
No one could f with me. No one. Usually the person that you battled against, afterward, be like, yo, this shit is crazy. Like, they'd become a fan.
And that's when we started saying, oh, this dude is going places now, because it's just tape was circulating all around Yonkers.
That's how I met DMX on Locust Hill.
3, 4 in the morning. That's what they park at. This is the beginning. This is where me and my man found him at, you know what I'm saying?
X was already in the game. He was at it. The only problem was X was under a production agreement with Jack McNasty.
Jack McNasty was a local guy that started managing local acts throughout Westchester, New Rochelle, White Plains, Yonkers, Mount Vernon.
When I first started with Jack, he's like, yo, get a flat top, wear polka dots. Did you hear the lyrics I just kicked? You see how this mind? Like, does this not know who the I am?
I couldn't really do my business with these contracts live. So I had to get him out of that deal. Went to that house. He had this big rock wallet. That was like his little security guard. We had to get in the house with him before he get to the backyard to let the big rock wallet in the house. So we did that. And then we talking about, well, this deal got to get taken care of, or somebody's gonna have a problem here, and it's not gonna be me. Jack McNasty was DMX's manager. We had to squeeze him out of the deal a little bit. Being in somebody's living room without permission, that's tense. It's just you, them, and the dog locked up outside that can't help. But really, he knew that he had him under contract and X wanted out. And so Jack was cool. We reached a settlement, and we didn't have to break no bones, anything. We didn't have to hang him out no window. He was good with us. And then, we started working. When I got with X, it was just me and X. I did ask D that he wanted to get involved. He didn't really want to do it.
I was probably outside in the streets hustling, so I wasn't thinking about music at that time.
My sister Chivon was down in Atlanta working with Uncle Lenny. He had a lot of music clubs, so she was getting hands-on relationships. That's why I went to go get her to help me out.
My Uncle Lenny was in the music industry and promoted all kinds of shows with Ashford and Simpson, Patti LaBelle. So one day, my uncle told me, I'm gonna teach you how to make money without having to sell your, basically. When Waah came to Atlanta, I saw a young man asking for help to get off the street. So that's how I viewed it. That's when the roles started becoming more defined. I'm the office person focused on doing contracts and communicating on a business level. And Joaquin is the go-getter.
I just started focusing on DMX and putting a lot of work on ground. I take him everywhere, to battle, perform. We was learning the game as we was earning the game. That's how we was raised. We was raised to work.
We just went, oh, this is what we're supposed to do? Oh, hang up some flyers? Oh, make some mixtapes?
The tapes was popping. I mean, like I was disrespectful. I was battling on tapes and making disrespectful songs and just capturing what was going on in the hood.
So then at that point, we started thinking about names. We came up with special effects and, you know, it wasn't popping. I was living in Yonkers at the time, and we were watching Posse.
And I'm mesmerized about this movie. I'm just sitting there stuck.
They were trying to catch a train. So the train's going, and they're riding hard. And each one jumps off their horse to get on there. So I said, yeah, that's rough. Then I thought about it. They're rough, too. I said, rough.
Yeah, I said, Ruff Ryders. She said, ride or die. I said, that's it.
Getting radio play in those days was the first step to becoming a star and getting a record deal and getting paid. They both understood real quick that they needed to get that single.
My father and Puffy's father were very close friends.
My pops hooked me up with meeting with Puff. He was working with Uptown, doing it real big over there.
I worked with Heavy, Mary, Jodeci. I've seen your face in a couple of videos, too. Yeah.
So I went to see Puff. Puff told me, listen, I'm real busy. I can't really do much anything right now. But he hooked me up with Chad Elliott, Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss was producing the Jodeci album at that time.
Make sure you don't go flat on that part.
I get a call one day from Puff. He says, you know, yo, Chad, I have these guys that I know who have an artist and they need some music, and Waah and I decided to meet under the George Washington Bridge. At that time, there was no office. You know, the meetings were happening under the bridge, in the cars, you know, and I could see that Waah was with purpose. You know, he was with a lot of intensity. He told me about this guy, DMX. You know, from there, we decided that I'd make a couple of tracks.
I brought DMX to his house to work on the first single.
That was the first song I made. That was the first, that was the one that, you know, collectively, they were like, okay, this should be a single.
When we got in the studio and he went in there and laid that verse down, the passion, I mean, it just radiated. I mean, his energy, you know, his pain.
Not because I choose to be, but because all the bad happens to me. I got kids, but their mothers don't want them to know me. My sisters used to like me, but now they call me homie.
Born Loser was a great single because the lyrics of Born Loser represent exactly what X wanted to say.
It reflects what's going on in my life, what's going on around me, you know, just things that I just want to say.
It sounds like, oh, he is a loser, you know. I used to have a family, now I'm out on my own. Try to scrap with a pick because he tried to take my bone. But in between those stories he's telling, he's saying, young man went out and made a name for himself.
We took that song and pushed it out there and got the Rough House Columbia deal. We had the single deal. If that went well, we launched an album.
The release date is 16th, man. The 16th of what? February. Put it out.
We thought that was the end-all, be-all. We thought that was gonna really take off. But unfortunately, it was opposite. It didn't become what we thought it would be.
Born Loser didn't do well. As a matter of fact, I think I'm the only one I heard play it. To this day, I never heard anybody play Born Loser before.
We were taking him around different places, but DMX was gritty, so labels were apprehensive about putting out his music or, you know, being associated with him.
A large part of me not getting signed was word on the street. Like, oh, no, but he runs around and he does this, he robs people, he gets high, and he does drugs. Right? But my thing is, I'm the best.
Crack cocaine was his demon. It wasn't hidden. Like, everybody knew he had a drug problem. Like, that's what put him on that wrong path.
After X was released from Rough House, he didn't give the appearance of feeling down, hurt, sad, or worried about anything.
I believed in myself. I believed in myself. I knew what I was capable of. It's like phases. Like, during this phase, you're gonna have to overcome something incredible.
We come from grind, so we understand what it is to not have and to build something from nothing to something. So even though Born Loser wasn't a hit record, we got an advance for $50,000 to $75,000. Then that deal set us up to start our recording studio. My father hooked me up with an office in his building.
They came in, they brought the dogs and the whole works, and the neighbors were complaining.
I was a rapper and a producer. Why? I was like, yo, I need somebody like you. At the studio we're building, I want you to run it. I want you to be the foundation.
I was a young producer in Harlem. Waah came to the block and actually was playing us Born Loser. And I didn't like it. My tracks was coming from Harlem, so it was like real aggressive and gritty. And he was like, I need that dirty music, these dirty artists. You know?
I had like 5, 6 different producers. I had PK, Dame Grease, Chad Elliott, and we have them working 8-hour shifts. So we brought the 24-hour street hustle into the music industry.
I had to step away and hit the road with Jodeci, and Waah wasn't too happy about that, and it was at that point where I introduced him and Irv.
Chad's like, listen, this guy, Irv, he got a lot of spunk. He wanna get into this music thing.
I was in New York DJing, and Chad Elliott, who's my roommate, and he was like, yo, you should meet this guy, DMX. And he's with these guys, the Ruff Ryders. We sat and kicked it, and I was like, yo, you produce. And I was like, I'm just starting. And I was like, I need a drum machine.
So that's how I started with Irv Gotti. I got him his first drum machine, and he did DMX's next single called Make a Move.
I got to make a move and make it soon. I got to take a block and make it boom. Come on. I got to make a move and make it soon. Got to take a block and make it boom. We coming through, so make some room.
That one was hot. I thought that would go. You know what I'm saying? I thought that would go.
At that time, we was doing everything independent, so we had to go door to door, to go to the DJs and go through all the different radio stations and underground stations to get it happen.
We brought it to Wendy Williams one time.
Thanks everybody for listening to Kiss and making us #1 across the country.
She took the record, got in her car, and when she drove a little, she tossed it out the window.
Wendy Williams, man. Drop my shit on the floor.
X would get frustrated a lot. The streets love me. He would tell everyone, you don't want to play my record? I don't give a f. The streets love me. They're gonna hear me.
After Born Loser, didn't blow up. After Making Moves, didn't blow up. He didn't have money and didn't have a way of really feeding himself.
Sometimes I would sell my tapes. I made cassette tapes, you know what I'm saying, mixtapes. I'd sell those. You only get so much money on that.
His girlfriend, Tashira, had a baby. He has to feed his baby. The streets are still there because you still have to eat.
Me and Earl had our first child when I was 21 and he was 22. We were broke. I mean, I worked, but
I robbed a lot of people. There was no money in sight, so I robbed a lot of people.
We wanted to keep an eye on DMX because, you all knew in the streets, you eventually wind up 1 or 2 places, dead or in jail.
He got locked up, He'll be in there for 90 days, he'll be in there for 6 months, he'll be in there for, we call those skid bids. So he was in and out.
I just got arrested. I'm in jail. New charge. It was like the lowest of the low. But it reminded me of being in my room. I just took a step back and just said, let me just look at where I'm going, how I'm getting there, and what I'm saying on the way there.
X, take the good with the bad. But he get locked up. We don't want that for him, but he's gonna come home with a lot of material.
X is our first artist. Then X turned us on to the Lots.
We was young kids and we was making music.
We had Mary J. Blige behind us. She took our music to Puff, said, welcome to Bad Boy.
I said it the first day, I want to sign DMX.
He started rhyming.
You just felt his rage.
It was about that time.
We took the streets over. We took the airwaves over.
This is gonna change the game. Everyone gonna be a Ruff Ryder in the hood.
Shut 'em down, open up shop.